I'm John Maher, WABC News. Now, stay tuned for the Art Athens program up next on Talk Radio 77.
WABC Talk Radio 77. Speak Out with Art Athens. From major issues affecting the tri-state area to local community problems affecting your neighborhood. Speak Out with Art Athens. To talk with Art from the 212 New York area, dial 877-WABC. From the 516 Long Island area, dial 437-WABC. In the 201 New Jersey area, dial 489-WABC. In the 914 Westchester area, your number is 667-WABC. And from the 203 Connecticut area, dial 335-WABC. Now, Speak Out with Art Athens on WABC Talk Radio 77.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, New York, to Talk Radio 77, WABC. A whole new thing here born, and I must point out before we go any further that while this program normally will be taking phone calls, we will not today because we have so much to tell you about. This is really the inaugural program for Talk Radio 77, and we have some fascinating people to speak with. First of all, the two guys who just did what is probably the most dynamite program I've heard on broadcasting ever, Dan Ingram and Ron Lundy.
Well, it's funny because we were winging it. I mean,
I don't remember much of it.
No,
I really
don't.
It
was almost all ad lib. The only thing we did was James Golden, who was, as we said on the show, who is now your producer, as a matter of fact, put together a whole bunch of music over the years, and we used that to kind of say bye-bye.
And he did that was an incredible production.
It really was.
It took them, I think we should say it took them all weekend. They were here till 6 o'clock this morning putting that together.
Well, I tell you, their work did not go in vain because I can just picture all the tape recorders that are running in not only New York and New Jersey and Connecticut and Pennsylvania and Delaware, but all over the area. So all that great work will not go wasted or unheralded because it'll be on thousands of tape recorders.
And incidentally, our congratulations on your new show.
Well, thank you, Daniel.
And I hope it's a big success, and I know it will be.
I think it will because this is it, Talk Radio. It's an interesting change for WABC, and things do change. I read the other day that Lionel Trains was no longer going to be in existence.
Oh, I don't want to hear that. Next thing you're going to be telling me Schwinn bicycles aren't around.
All of those things, but
Kodak has stopped making 16mm movie
there
films.
you are. But yet...
Or 8mm, I guess. Yeah.
Yet, that is what 1980 has brought us, the 80s.
Yeah.
When you sat down behind these microphones, I'll ask you both this question. 20 years ago, 17 years ago, did you ever think that you would be sitting here like this today?
No, I never thought I'd get this old. No, as a matter of fact, the first time I was on the air on WABC was Hal Neal had hired me, and Chuck Dunaway was out of town for a weekend, and he said, would you like to come in and just do a couple hours on the air? Mm-hmm. And I went on the air and said, this is the Chuck Dunaway show, and this is not Chuck Dunaway. Didn't use my name because didn't want anybody to know I was going to be on. And I was scared to death. I mean, I really was. I could have had a conniption or a cat or a canary or something like that. No, I didn't think it'd last very long. As a matter of fact, at any given moment when someone asked me, well, how long do you think it's going to last? My standard answer was, well, maybe a couple more years. I'm surprised it's gone this long.
That was 15 years ago.
That sure was
saying that.
Yeah,
you were way off.
And I was, thank God.
What about you, Ron?
I didn't think it would ever end. I never thought about it ending. That never entered my mind. I just, up to, the past year or so, but up to then, it never entered my mind that it would ever end.
Now, that's the hook. It hasn't really ended. It is changing here at WABC, and something new is born. But for the two of you, you're going on to...
Super Radio.
It's much bigger, and anything we've ever done. Better, I don't know. I mean, because it's been good. It's been a good 17 years for me here, but Dan and me be back with the man who hired me, Rick Sklar, and we'll all be back together again and coast to coast rock and roll or whatever you want to call it. Well, they got so many different names now, but it's like Billy Joel said, it's still rock and roll to me. So whatever you want to call it.
That will be the 4th of July weekend, which happens to be the 21st anniversary of my continuous employment by the American Broadcasting Company. And a lot of people are confused at what Super Radio really is. It's a service of Radio Enterprises, which is a newly created division of the American Broadcasting Company. It will not be carried on WABC, since WABC is a talk radio station as of this minute. But with any luck, it will be carried in New York. We know there are a couple of stations that are being negotiated with right now. It'll be carried coast to coast. It'll be live. One of the interesting things is that one of the projections is that the new music service called Super Radio will be carried on a station in Guam, which will mean that if I'm on the air in New York from 4 to 8 p.m. in the afternoon, I'll be on the air at the same time in Guam from 3 to 7 p.m. the day before because of the international dateline. Now, that's a little frightening.
Won't be the first time you've seen yourself coming in.
Absolutely, yeah.
Super Radio, as is talk radio, by the way, and we'll be explaining what the talk radio format is going to be here on WABC as we move along the program, is really made possible through some incredible technological advances. We've heard about them over the years. Satellites. It's a whole new satellite system, and there are things that can be done now that were unheard of 5 years ago. Maybe you can explain a little bit about how that works.
Well, we'll be in a studio at 1700 Broadway, brand new studio, which has all kinds of interesting devices, TV screens and whatever, which will be broadcasting directly from there up and bounced off a satellite, coast to coast, live, 50,000 hertz clear stereo sound, which will be picked up by any affiliate, either with their own downlink, a dish, or by some local service, which might be AT&T or something like that. And it'll be on the air live. It'll be the first music service that's ever been live, coast to coast, 24 hours a day, although I believe that Super Radio is recommending that local stations carry their own morning show. The technological aspects of it are frightening, because eventually what they will have will be TV screens which will display digitally encoded records, and all you have to do is press a button, and somewhere a block away in a computer, the music will come out. No tape moving anywhere, nothing. It's all fascinating.
They say records will be a thing of the past.
Oh, sure. They already are. Yeah. They already are.
Yeah. Yeah.
I haven't seen a record in the studio in about 15 years.
I haven't either.
You may not see them in your home. I'm sure the record industry is saying, no. Listen, I don't think we can ignore it. There have been probably thousands of articles written. We haven't seen them all, but we know of a few that the day the music stopped, rock and roll dies, et cetera, et cetera. Is it negative? Do you feel this is negative, what's happened here?
No,
not at all.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all.
The only difference is the, what's a good $9 word? The transmogrification of media.
Let me write that
from a local station doing a local thing to a bunch of stations. We've come full circle in radio, all the way from the days when TV destroyed radio's networks to the fact that ABC has 6 very strong networks now and 2 more satellite networks. And people across the country are very interested in carrying something with perhaps a little larger focus and framework. And the response from the stations that have been pitched about whether they might be interested in carrying this has been so positive. It's been really astounding.
Mm-hmm. And for WABC, of course, a whole new format, which is bringing something to New York that has not been in New York, but has been tremendously successful in Los Angeles, in San Francisco. Obviously, there is a great interest and a great demand for the kind of talk that we will be doing here on WABC for years to come.
Sure.
I hope that 20 years from now, you can be back here and we'll all have an inaugural. Who knows?
Yeah. Who knows the Art Athens farewell. Yes. When they go back to music.
But it really has been a fabulous morning here, and an exciting morning, and I thought I detected a tear in your eye, Dan, there.
Well, I imagine so. I'm a person who wears his heart on his sleeve, frankly, at certain times in my life, and there is a certain element of nostalgia, but we all go through one period to another in our lives, and this is what we're in the midst of, is a gigantic segue from doing WABC to doing Super Radio, and I find it totally exciting, even though at the same moment I must say I'm a little emotional.
And you, Ron?
Well, I just really want to wish WABC all the luck in the world with the new format. I just look and I think of all the resources that you guys have at your fingertips with ABC News and all the networks and everything, and I just think you're going to be hard to stop. I really do. And I just wish you all the luck in the world, and especially with your show. I just wish you just only the very best.
And the same to you. You are one of the sweetest men, both of you. Great guys. And we will be seeing you up and down 6th Avenue.
Oh, of course.
You're not leaving town?
Oh, I have my hot dog stand. Got to make a buck where you
By
can.
the way, you know the mustard I got from you the other day? It's really nice.
It wasn't mustard.
Thank you, gentlemen, both Ron Lundy and
Thank you.
Ingram. I must point out one more thing. It is not the end of music altogether on WABC.
Now, Ross and Wilson
Ross
still be
and
playing
Wilson,
music, sure.
Every morning we'll be playing music from 6 to 10 a.m. And then we will make the transition to some very interesting talk hosts, and we'll be talking about them when we come back. One thing that you could do was go to a record. We don't have any records to go to, but we can go to a few commercial words, so we'll do that right now.
Thank you.
You're working hard, there's no denying. You do your best, you keep on trying.
We'll come back from our break and begin taking your calls live here on WABC Talk Radio 77.
Excuse me.
Bresnan, and we are back here live on WABC, and we're going to begin to take your calls absolutely in every area of finance that you can think of. So please, I warn you once again, I'm ready to take them, and I would like very much for you to be as direct and as specific as you would like to be. Good afternoon. You're live on WABC.
Oh, I am. I'm your first one.
And you're my first one. And your first name, sir?
Huh?
And your first name, please.
My name is Alan.
Hi, Alan.
Okay. Yeah, I have a question, and it's been bugging me for a long time. I have an insurance policy.
I'm Rick James, WABC News, on Talk Radio.
WABC 77.
Immediate, informative, stimulating, provocative, an incredible learning experience. Be informed. Get involved. That's what talk radio is all about. Talk radio is
Michael Jackson.
Hello there. That's a generous introduction, and it makes a stimulating challenge each hour, each day, to try and live up to it. It's a great opportunity to meet up with the people and the ideas of the moment, the news, views, and comments of the movers and shakers, the people who are the news in any and every walk of life. Of course, much of it's up to you as we welcome your calls from anywhere across the length and breadth of this great country. Live and direct, utilizing telephones, satellites, and radios. Your views, when heard, are shared with people as far afield as Manhattan and Waikiki, from Florida to Colorado, Ohio to Kansas, Oregon and Washington, to the likes of California and Arizona, and many other spots. Today's bill of fare offers the opportunity to spend an hour with Lucille Ball. An hour from now, we welcome your calls for conversation with the redhead herself. This hour, much is on tap. We'll be expecting incoming reports from Buenos Aires.
New York, New York, you can talk to us, and you'll find we've got a lot to say. Yankee sports, radar weather reports, the latest news. Give us your views, talk to us. WABC Talk Radio 77. Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx. Let's hear from you. Staten Island and Queens, you're welcome to. New Jersey and Connecticut, give us a call. When you're with us, you'll hear it all. New York, New York, you can talk to us. WABC Talk Radio 77.
WABC New York, Talk Radio 77.
From ABC News, I'm Joe Vaughn.
Here are some excerpts from a tribute to WABC aired by WNEW-FM in New York.
At WNEW-FM in New York, I'm Meg Griffin, and we are going to bring you now a repeat broadcast of a special that we did commemorating a radio station that is part of the lives of every single one of us if we are from this area around here from over the past 20 years or so. We're talking about WABC and music radio. The way I look at this place is kind of like if they weren't there doing what they did when they did it, we might not be here doing what we're doing right now, and chances are that 10 years from now, as Earl Bailey said, somebody could be looking back at us like this hopefully anyway, with as much respect as we look back on these folks, so let's get to it.
Tune in Scotland Yard tonight and every night, 7:15 till 10 on WABC, one of America's great stations.
Scott Muni at 7:15. You be sure to be here when he plays the top 12, the Daily Dozen from the Instant Sound Survey on WABC, the swing-along sound of New York.
I think WNEW-FM has been, in the community, a station that has dealt with history of the music that we all enjoy and listen to today. In order to have the music we have today, we had to start somewhere, and that was yesterday. I think most of the people listening, who have been listening and following music through the years, our rock music, remember WABC, because that was a day in radio at its peak and its heyday where singles were the most popular thing that were happening. Groups and individuals who later became involved more in the music of today began selling single records. There were no concerts to speak of. Once in a while something might happen on a campus. But this is history, and I think to remember some of our roots is the whole idea behind this program.
WABC, serving New York and America with music in tempo with today.
WABC has now become Talk Radio 77.
What was going on was a change in technology. The same thing that originally made radio what it was. The radio is a creature of technology. When TV came along, a new technology, radio had to change. Conversely, when FM came along, and the government said FM has to have separate programming from AM, you can't duplicate, another technology came along, and this one was capable of presenting music in a far better way, in that it was in stereo, and you could get higher frequencies, you could pick them up, the receivers were of greater quality, and you didn't have the interference and the squeal and the static and the hum associated with AM radios. So there was a new and better way of presenting music.
In the golden days of WABC, Rick Sklar was program director.
So eventually, music would move over, and that's what really happened. Now, the fact that the year that the majority of the music audience shifted to FM, disco happened to be in vogue, was simply a coincidence. It could have been anything. Whatever music was in vogue the year that the technology shift took place, that would be prominent in people's heads as to, what finally superseded a WABC. But look, when WABC was up there, it was up there with 15, 20, 25 shares of the market. These little pipsqueaks that call themselves number one today with a 5 or 6 share, that's nothing. They're all chipping away little bits. One guy's got a 7.6, another a 7.3, and then big deal. It's simply a fractionalized FM dial with a lot of people playing music. But disco didn't do WABC in. It was FM technology. And it didn't do it in. It really is forcing it to change. WABC will rise again, but now it's a talk station.
WABC became a phenomenon, became a lifestyle for one reason, because when they turned the radio on, they not only had the music, but they had their friend.
Cousin Brucey, Bruce Morrow.
Dan Ingram, their friend Dan, Kemosabe, their cousin Brucey was on the radio. These are the people they leaned on. Scotzo, I mean, come on, the M&M boys, that's what they used to call us, right? Muni and Morrow. Right, yeah. The Shirelles even did a song. Let Scott sing it for you one day if he dares. We became their family, their mishpucha. We were, cousin Brucey was there. The kids would run away, they'd call me. Somebody was in trouble, they'd call Scott. They'd ask Dan for advice. We do commercials in our own styles. This was a thing that when the agency started giving us commercials, they'd say, hey, let Brucey do his own, let Ingram do his own. We want their credibility on the air. We developed a huge credibility with the audience because they knew that we cared and we were their friends. We were sharing their problems and their happinesses, and we were giving something besides the music.
Well, you had the element of show business. You had the element of personality, which a lot of radio stations don't let their announcers get into nowadays. You know, it's all...
Which I think is very wrong. What is happening to radio, which to me is the most intimate, lovely, sexy of all mediums, mass media, radio. You go to bed with it, sex with it, you have showers with it, you go to the bathroom with it, you're in your car with it. You know, these are things I've been saying for years, and they're letting it go down the tubes. All right, everybody's talking about fractalization. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. If Station A wants to play music for people and appeal to people in red sweaters, Station B wants to appeal to people in blue sweaters, Station C is for people in jockey shorts, that's great. But nobody can tell me that the kind of radio that we perfected at WABC with Scott Muni and Brucey and Dan Ingram and Ron and all those guys, there's no room for baloney. I still do these things every day. I work 7 days a week to this day on my radio station. I have 4 radio stations now. When I make appearances, I'm still at McDonald's. Last week I was at the Hudson Valley Mall up in Kingston, New York. Thousands of people there. Hey, Brucey, how's your family? How old is DJ now? These are thousands of people. These are the same people. You see what I'm worried about? I'm worried about the people that are making the decisions are forgetting a very important market, the market that grew up with the Cousin Bruceys and Scotties and Dan Ingrams, the 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60-year-olds. What about them? Sure, it's fine to serve the 18s, 19s, and 20-year-olds. Nothing wrong with that. But I insist there is room for radio the way I love radio, the way I do it. Anyway, Hal Neal got us into a studio one day, and I remember Scotzo was there, and Herb Oscar, and Danny, and myself, and he said, the first one of you guys who become #1 in the next ratings will get $150 cash and a suit of clothing. Right? And that was all he had to say. We all got together, and the next book came out. We were #1. WABC was born, and we were up and running. And he gave everybody, all of us, $150 and took us all down to a place called Phil Kronfeld on Broadway in Manhattan and bought us a suit of clothing. We all got those famous raincoats that we used to appear in pictures, the All-Americans, but the All-Americans weren't born in those days. We were the good guys, by the way, before we became the All-Americans. Are you aware of that?
It was WABC. Before WMCA.
Yes. Yeah. We kept it for about a week and a half. And then we became the All-Americans, because they put a lot of money into it, and WABC, I guess, was not willing to cover the expense of that.
What were some of the phrases? The All-American Hit Survey, right?
Yeah. The Super Hit Survey, the Super Sound Survey, listen to the All-Americans, this type of thing. And they became the good guys. They put out the sweatshirts, and the battle was on. It was a great thing. It was terrific. New York was fun. The good guys were against the All-Americans. The All-Americans really, it never caught on. The good guys caught on, and to this day is a phenomenal
Well, they
thing.
had the T-shirts and everything.
WABC, we had it first. We were the good guys before they were.
There's a piece of history I haven't heard yet, with all the history that's been going by us in the last few days.
And we then became #1, and we held on. I mean, we were getting 20 shares, 30 shares, 40 shares of the audience into the people listening. That's a very big hunk of the pie.
This is early mid-'60s.
Yeah, very early mid-'60s. It's just, we captured, and in those days, we were really a young people's radio station, because rock and roll, which it was, rock and roll music, as Jack O'Brien used to call me, the king of rot and roll, rock and roll music was not accepted by the adult world. They poo-pooed it, As they said, they must feed him, they say they must feed Cousin Brucey 5 times a day and put him in a closet and then let him out at night. This type of So in other words, it was not chic, it was not in to listen to Cousin Brucey and to WABCs or WMCAs in those days. And of course, FM radio was not even there. They were not, nobody realized the great potential of this other medium, FM radio. So we just banded along, and everything on the radio in those days were pimple creams. I mean, I became the king of pimple creams, Hey, everybody, listen, you want to get rid of your pimples? Why not use Blebitina Go-Go? Guaranteed to get rid of your pimples in 3 days, or your money and pimples back. I sold a lot of pimple creams and toothpaste and a lot of soft drinks and chewing gums and those kind of things. That's all. And remember, we had National Home School of Study. We used to get them equivalency diplomas. That was our commercials in those days. And then the turnaround happened when I have to credit the Chubby Checker phenomenon, the twist, for bringing adulthood to our kind of radio. Suddenly, the twist came out, and suddenly twist clubs, like in New York City, you had the Peppermint Lounge, and all the other clubs that were dying, needing a shtick, needing something, became twist clubs. And adults started going to twist clubs, and that started them listening to Cousin Brucey's and Dan Ingram's and WABC type of radio all over the nation. And so that was really the big change. That's what started. Then we had to defend it. We had to continue being adulterating the radio station.
Well, I think FM in most major cities, in most markets, FM, because of its sound and the better quality of music that you can hear, severely hurt AM.
Scotzo.
And I think also AM probably stayed too long with too few records of the same thing over and over again, where there was more experimentation, more boldness, more innovativeness, and a better sound for music on FM. So the time that it took for FM to make its move was due to the cost of a person converting their lives, their cars, their homes from an older radio to something they could now hear music in stereo. Once that happened and people felt and heard the difference, the ball game was over.
But it's a very nostalgic thing, and, you know, everything has to end. That's life.
Once again, former program director Rick Sklar.
WABC was like anything else. It's part of life. Couldn't go on forever. But it was a wonderful thing. It was a one-of-a-kind. I don't think ever be another station quite like that. I mean, the scope of the thing was so huge. It was so grand. Everything that was done was on such a massive scale. We gave out buttons. We gave out 14 million buttons. Wear them, buttons with the WABC call letters, and if we spot you, we'll give you $25,000. You know, where do you come up with ideas like that? 14 million buttons given out. This stuff is just not done today. We should save some tapes of WABC the way it was and have a place where when people want to relive their youths, maybe we'll donate something to the Broadcasting Museum where they can come back and listen to a few minutes of Big Dan and the mid-50s and into the 60s, and Cousin Brucey and everybody. It's just one of those things. We'll miss it. But radio will go on and on forever. Radio is the most adaptable medium there is, and the old WABC's place in radio will be remembered by everyone who ever heard it, who ever grew up with it. It'll be part of millions and millions, tens of millions of people's lives, and certainly the lives of everyone in the radio business. As we realized this week when we had such a tremendous outpouring of sentiment, emotion, and remembrances from just about everybody we know in radio. And I just want to thank everyone for all the wonderful things they've had to say. It's been a difficult week to go through, but everyone's been very supportive about it all. So, you know, now we just have to go on to new things, and we'll try to recreate a WABC in the sky with the satellites, and I think we will. And I thank you very much, you know, for doing this. I think it's so wonderful for one radio station to remember another, and special thanks to Scott Muni.
And Eddie WFM would like to thank Rick Sklar, whose ideas created Music Radio 77 WABC. We'd like to thank all those valiant disc jockeys who held down the fort as the end was nearing for Music Radio. We're talking about people that we haven't talked about here tonight. Johnny Donovan, Peter Bush, Mike McKay, Mark Summers, and all the disc jockeys over the years that we haven't gotten to. And the ones we did talk with: Herb Oscar Anderson, Chuck Leonard, Babaloo, Bob Lewis, Cousin Brucey, Bruce Morrow, Ron Lundy, and Dan Ingram. And a special note to Dan Ingram. Dan, you're the DJ's DJ. You're the best.
It's been a lot of records over the turntables, to make a very bad simile. There is one thing that I want to say that will be probably the last time matter of fact, it will be the last time I will ever be able to say this on WABC. And the last thing I'm going to say is, this is WABC New York. I can't say that anymore, can I? But it's been a ball for almost 21 years for me, almost 22 years of the programming that's been on the station all this time, and we'd like to play just a couple of things to nail it down.
Tribute to Music Radio 77 WABC, with love and lots of it, from Eddie WFM. Production assistance from Robin Sagan and Richard Neer. Invaluable production assistance from Stacy Kahn.
Produced by Earl Bailey.
This is 102.7 WNEWFM in New York.
More news, more often, more times a day. First-person coverage the electronic way. The news, sounds of New York, comprehensively brought to you on Channel 77. Active and accurate. accurate. WABC. 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 From WABC, of interest to you. 77 sound service presented in the public interest on WABC Radio. WABC Radio.
77 WABC. Whoopee. WABC.
This is 77 WABC. Where we never, no, we never, where we never goof up our ration stakes. WABC, New York Radio. 77 WABC, All American. Hey, join the All American team for fun on 77 WABC. 77 WABC, where the action is. WABC. The super hit sound of 77 WABC with the hotline of hits. Great swinging. It's 77 WABC.
More music on
77 WABC. The All-American Go-Go Teams on 77 WABC. Wherever you go, go with 77 WABC. Go, go! WABC strikes gold. 77 people hear more and more music on 77 WABC. The New York Sound. 77 Music WABC. WABC Super Hit 1. WABC.
Turn your mind off, baby. Feel the fine vibrations of 77 WABC. WABC.
WABC. More music. Pow. Power. Wow. 77 WABC.
Music
Power. Music power. 77 WABC. Music comes here to play. WABC. 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 Music Radio, ABC. The music's on us on WABC. The best music, WABC. Music Radio, WABC. 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 Best music, best station, WABC. The best music, WABC. The best music, WABC. Music Radio, WABC. We're New York style at 77 WABC. 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 77 WABC. New York, New York, you can talk to us, and you'll find we've got a lot to say. Yankee sports, radar, weather reports, the latest news. Give us your views, talk to us. WABC Talk Radio 77. Manhattan, Brooklyn, and the Bronx. Let's hear from you. Staten Island and Queens. You're welcome to New Jersey and Connecticut. Give us a call. When you're with us, you'll hear it all. New York, New York, you can talk to us. WABC Talk Radio 77. When you need somebody near you who will take the time to hear you, you can talk to us. WABC. When you need a way to show that your opinions count, you know that you can talk to us. WABC. 'Cause we love the sound of people talking. New York, you're never alone. WABC Talk Radio 77. New York, New York, New Jersey, Connecticut too. You're the people we're talking to. When there's something on your mind, an open ear is what you'll find. Come on and talk to us. WABC, share your views with the nation, 'cause you've got a station you can talk to. WABC Talk Radio 77.